Anil, the first question to you. You work with a lot of enterprises, whether it is in India, SARC, globally as well, at different stages of AI, because that is what we are seeing, that organizations here, especially in Sri Lanka, either they are already thinking about leveraging AI, or some of them have started it. What do you think are some of the challenges, or what separates the organizations that are putting things in production from the ones that are still stuck in pilot? Because I gave the statistics, right? 90% do not make it to production. So what do you think are the common reasons that organizations face?
I think that's a very interesting question and very commonly asked, because why organizations are not able to move beyond those prototypes and production. And there's an interesting survey that one of the leading consulting organizations did, which is 88% of the POCs and the prototypes don't move to production, right? And while one may argue that the numerator itself is very high, and hence this number looks a bit inflated, but in itself, this number is still very huge, which is more than 85%, right? Now, if I have to pin down on what those three pieces that most organizations, Biswa also showed who those organizations are, right? So what they have done and what others may still want to do that is three pillars I would typically categorize those, right? People, processes, and technology. I think you also spoke about the processes as well, right? If I talk about the processes, right, I think the way some organizations are still looking at AI, which I feel should absolutely change, is not looking at AI as just playing a bolt and a nut play of a mechanism, right? AI has to be looked at from a entirely, completely transformational changes, right? If you look at AI more from fixing up things that you are doing in your organizations, then you may never be able to realize the true potential of what AI can deliver it for you. So you need to take a step back, understand what the business process flows are, what are those the processes that are running in an organization. Can I be able to transform those business processes enabled by AI, right? So that's the one way to look at it. The second is the skills I talked about. While you may start using the power of the large language models or even the small language models, but when you move on to production, you need that sustainability, you need that mechanism within your organization who should be able to take, not just for one project, but being able to sustain it for a longer period of time, right? And the way you can only sustain it only when you have your in-house skills built in your organizations, right? So that's the second part I would very encourage the leaders to step up and start putting investments in skills in their organization. The third is the technology, right? While with perplexities and the LLMs of the world, they are at our mobiles, right? So you are actually consuming those AIs, and hence building those prototypes and POCs is still relatively easy. But when you look at a production-based scenarios, right, it is not just a LLM model or an ML model that itself will take you from stage 1 to stage 2. There are other equal and important moving blocks that needs to be there along with the centralized portion of the ML or LLM models, which is, it could be infra, it could be security, it could be memories. These are the equal components that play a very important role for any organizations who would want to move from prototypes to production. So I'll pin down on these three, which is people, process, and technology. If we are able to cover these, then it should give us a good headway moving from just prototypes to production. So that's my take.
Wonderfully put. No, I think you couldn't have put it more better. So it is the all three. And now I want to, just on that, Daminder, question to you. You're operating in the construction and a very, tight margin business. What do you think, just building on to what Anil said here, that, how do you see AI making actually real value for your organization, or for that matter, your industry as such? And what are some of the challenges that you're seeing that you are, currently facing, maybe if at all you're thinking about, leveraging AI?
So Pavel, first of all, thank you for inviting me. So since now, if you look at the industry that we are into construction material supply, right? And mostly manufacturing. So if I were to look at AI, now leaving aside AI, if I were to look at how do I drive my strategy and how do I grow? So when I look at growth, I need to look at growth from a competitive standpoint. Can I grow ahead of market? Then can I grow profitably? Not delivering a growth in the leaving profitability.
Sure.
And then can I make it consistently? And then how do I drive my growth responsibly? So when I look at that, the typical process that we used to follow, we always look at, now you spoke of in the new world, people, process, AI process and decisions.
Yeah.
So we used to look at it from processes, systems, people and KPIs.
Okay.
So always when I want to look at growth, I would look at improving these 4 building blocks and improve it and hence drive your growth in all 4 aspects. Mm-hmm. Right now, when you bring in AI, I want to look at now, say for an example, if I were to improve, I have certain processes that we practice in the business. Say for an example, sales and operation planning process. Because we are in tight margin businesses, the price is very sensitive, competitive, so we always want to look at a better plan, a better demand plan. Then that demand plan translating into a supply plan, and then supply reconcile with production, and then finally you produce, store and sell, right? Then if you look at this whole process, now we have multiple interventions on a regular basis. It could be monthly, quarterly, annually, and then you look at 4 quarters, 8 quarters, 12 quarters likewise, and you drive it, right? Now when AI is not there, the process that we used to follow is, this, while running this, we want to improve every day. So we use data, we look at demand, we look at all the historical data, and we do it manually. And then to support that, we have world-class, always look at world-class ERP systems, and then we be happy we have world-class system to support our processors and help people to do their job. Right? That's how we have been looking at it. Now the challenge, when AI came into scene, now always the question I had in my mind, how does AI help this whole process and improve my forecast accuracy, forecast bias, then how do I do my supply planning proper, and then, getting into the sales side of it, provide the best customer experience on time in full, and then deliver overall expectations of all stakeholders. So from that perspective only, I would like to look at AI and then what kind of solutions that could bring in. That will help me to improve my inventory levels, my working capital, everything. So I think the first part is answered.
Are there any barriers that you're currently facing?
So the barriers, I think I see 2 barriers. One is, if you want to run AI, first you need to have your right data set.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
If you don't get the right data set, you don't get right data structures, what AI will give you would not deliver what you want. So the first challenge is now sometimes you'll find it all over the place. So before getting into that, we need to get that house in order and then look at how you can get use of AI. That's one. Then the second one is obviously it's a change that we are talking. People need to make use of AI, right? So the obvious first question come into their mind is it going to replace me, right?
Right.
So then there is a fear, and they deal with. I have worked in multiple industries over 2 decades. Every time when I switch the industry, the people who used to work in that industry say, "Look here, this is a different industry. What you have come from is a very different industry, and there are different issues specific to this industry, and therefore the way that we have been doing things has worked and it will work." So that's the kind of typical thinking that I've heard from multiple industries.
Yeah, the resistance to change or taking
so
it.
that will eventually come to AI also. So firstly get your house in order to get the data.
Right.
Then how do you drive that cultural transformation that people accept AI? It's not a threat, actually. It helps you to do your job way better than what you used to do in the past.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
I hope I answered your...
No, absolutely. And just on that, right, now, Jayanta, I'll come to that. Daminda brought a very, very valid point around data, right? And I think everyone would agree that financial services is the industry that has the most ripe data that AI can be implied for. And you will be able to unlock a lot of values. The question for you would be, what is it that, how are you seeing, the journey over time? Where do you see AI helping you? How are you looking at valuable finance and leveraging AI for your organization? And what are, similar to just what Daminda said, what are some of the internal barriers or challenges that you are, currently facing or maybe thinking about before you adopt AI?
Yes. Thank you, Paul, for having us. Even though we are in very early stages of our AI journey, I must tell you at the beginning, we are not an AI-first company.
Right.
We are also trying to figure things out. Having said that, we at Valuable Finance, we see AI as a business transformation tool rather than a IT project or a IT initiative. Financial services basically collect and gather enormous amount of data every day through your transactions, through your lending, fixed deposits, pawning, collections, and also through various other touch points. Always the financial institutions are data rich.
Right.
The point is, the argument, rather, the challenge is converting that data into correct decisions and accurate decisions.
Right.
This is where AI comes in, as far as we see. AI has a lot of potential in some of the areas that we work. For example, increasing efficiency in collections and recoveries using predictive models. Also, at the same time, say, if you have to enhance your credit assessment or a risk assessment, again, identify through patterns. Also, there are, I think, models available, plenty of models, deepening customer relationship, also forecasting models on FD renewals, and also for pawning business that would help us to, enable us to do cross-selling. Having said all that, also internally, automating some of your routine tasks,
Right.
rather will improve your productivity. That's again possible. At the same time, having said all that, we have to understand, we need to mindful the industry that we are in.
Yeah.
We are in the business of finance. Finance business depends on trust. The finance depends on confidence.
Right.
We believe AI cannot replace human emotion, human judgment, also human relationship. That would be impactful, AI, in fact. But AI will be most effective when it's combined with technology, what you bring in, plus data and human experience.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So Ms. Chaniki is the Director of ICT at the Sri Lankan Ministry of Digital Economy. Again, Ms. Chaniki, thank you. Thanks a lot for bringing the perspective from what the government is thinking and what the perspective that from a policymaker's perspective to the panel. What we have just discussed so far, I'm sure you listened to Mr. Jayanta talking about what they are looking at from a financial industry perspective and what the manufacturing industry had to say. Question to you was, we see that Sri Lanka has a very young talent, tech-savvy and workforce that is eager to deliver and leverage AI. What is the Ministry of Digital Economy doing in Sri Lanka to place that trust within enterprises to start leveraging AI? Is there something that you guys are already thinking about? Are there some policy interventions that you guys are doing? Maybe just bring us what the government is thinking about.
First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me for this session, and extremely sorry because I had to attend a ministry meeting that was scheduled very suddenly. Okay. So I'm happy to be here. So from the ministry's perspective, we have taken many initiatives on AI. So first of all, now the AI strategy was put out for public comments, public observations, and we are in the process of revising that AI strategy at the moment. So I'm hoping to put out the final, this is not going to be the final, but it will be evolving the strategy document plus the AI policy. So that is one initiative from the policy side. And not only AI, we are like looking into this data protection as well, because data protection is also into this AI with the new emerging technologies. So the data protection authority is in place. We are in the process of recruiting people, and the DG is appointed and the board is there, and we are in the process of recruiting more staff as well. So the 2022 Data Protection Act with some amendments in 2025 will be enacted by hopefully end of this year or early next year. So with that Data Protection Act also in operation, I think, and the AI policies, AI strategy is coming up, and also the cyber security bill, that also, if I have to say today itself, there was a discussion on finalizing the Cyber Security Act, which was, they are dragging for a very long time, because there was a very conflict on the civil and defense policy, security policy. So the civil cyber security policy has been drafted, that hopefully this year it will be also published. So with everything coming up from the policy side, I think we have a very good future from the government side. So that are some of the examples I could say from the policy side. And also when you come to AI operations, so there is this AI advisory committee which is headed by Dr. Hans at the moment. So there are 5-6 pillars looking into different areas of AI, like the capacity building, governance, industry likewise. So with these subcommittees, we are in the process of putting up AI into operation as well. Because we strongly believe that doing research only is not enough. We had to get all these projects, research papers into operation. So there are many areas we could use AI, like agriculture, manufacturing, health, education, right? So all these areas, these AI research can be implemented, and that also we have a lot of projects ongoing. So as a whole, the government is looking into this, and this AI data center coming up, then National AI Center, where all this research and development is going to happen. So all these are on operation.
Thank you, thank you. No, I think so. That's the thing that we love about Sri Lanka, that you're not just sitting on the fringes, you're already thinking about what at an organization, not like think of the country at the ministry as an organization, right? You're putting in those building blocks for organizations like Valuable Finance and Swisstech to actually build in. So now going back, Jayanta, to you, just building onto what Chaniki said, that, you know, especially you said finance industry is an industry of trust, right? Now, what are you thinking about, you know, governance and, you know, because as soon as you do AI, the natural question comes in is, you know, what is the model explainability? How would you, because it's a black box, honestly, right? Like you give it and it generates an output. So what are you thinking, right? You know, or is it a challenge that you feel would be for adopting AI, or you can, you know, maybe do certain things internally, or maybe, you know, when you're adopting AI in the, or a lot of other financial industry veterans are also here. What do you think that, you know, how would you circumvent these, or maybe take the AI in the same stead as you look at? How do you put AI in your workflow? What is your take?
Yes, Pavel. What we believe, the governance is not a barrier. It's a necessity. It's a very foundation of AI adoption. Also, that's a very sustainable foundation of AI adoption. Financial services, we have to be mindful. We are the custodians of public trust, custodians of public funds, the custodians of financial well-being of our customers, in addition to personal information, very sensitive information. Therefore, accountability, transparency, the regulatory compliance is not optional. That is mandatory. It's mandatory. We believe the governance should be integrated from the day one, not added later on.
Right.
The challenge is here how to strike a balance between governance and innovation. This is where right now. The too much of governance will slow down innovation.
Right.
Too little of it will increase risk.
Right.
This is a very delicate area.
Right.
We have to strike the right balance. We are happy and we are glad to hear. At the same time, all the stakeholders are involved in this process right now. At the same time, all the stakeholders, the policymakers, to the regulatory authorities, or the industry participants, all are involved and having right conversations. We believe having right conversations. Soon we'll believe we will have the right policy framework for us to operate with. Thank you.
Okay. Anil, very, very quickly, if any in one line that you want to add on how does AWS ensure that that happens, and maybe Janaki, just building on to what Jayanta said right now, is there something just on the explainability or ensuring that both the government and the businesses, go together in terms of the private sector needs to be aware. What are you guys thinking to ensure that, AI policy does not go out of bounds? What are the governance structures? So maybe Anil, first you, how does AWS ensure, and maybe Janaki to you, how do you are looking at from a government perspective?
Yeah, no, look, I think technology has evolved a lot in the last few years since the birth of ChatGPT in November 2022, right? The early years, yes, this was pretty much the concern, right? How do I know what model has been called for? How do I know whether my data stays within my geography? How do I know what is going on within that black box, right? And I've been a practitioner. I've been in this field for about 20 years now. And right from the starting of machine learnings to the deep learnings and now to the LLMs, at an organizational level, of course, at an AWS, we ensure that, the data, as you rightly pointed out, right, it has to be secured. There's absolutely there's zero tolerance to data being leaked, right? So those are the key aspects that we maintain from an AWS data governance side of things. Now, that's from a platform perspective. From the tools that are now, available, you could actually move beyond that a black box model, because there are evaluations that are now built in. There are traceabilities that are now built in. If you remember the days of 2015, when 2013, 2014, when machine learning was also considered a black box, right? And then we had those algorithms coming out, line charts, spatially charts. These moved that black box logics to a white box logic. And that's how the change has happened within the generative AI world. Now, the way you go and design your systems, obviously, it's also a responsibility of how a developer designs it. Platform supports it from a platform perspective in terms of the data doesn't move out, it stays in the region, the processing doesn't go out, and all those documentations that you could help, when you are going to build an AI application. From a practitioner's perspective also, as I said, there are algorithms which can help you trace as to why a particular, let's say large language model or an ML model produced a result of so and so, why it is coming out. So it has to be a balance. It has to come out both from a platform as well as from a developing the AI applications perspective.
Yeah. Janaki, just finally, very, very quickly, just trying to understand, what does the private sector need to know? How are you guys thinking about AI governance and ensuring that, when businesses adopt, because that is a concern that everyone would have, that how do I ensure that I don't err on the side of being, being not there, that, the ministry is thinking? What do you have to say about the ministry's take on that?
So I would like to say now the private sector doesn't need to think that we are going to kill the innovation, because all these policies, regulations are coming. It is not to actually slow down the innovation, because I think innovation should go hand in hand with this governance structure. So the private sector, like later on coming on to what should be the regulations be, I think it's better if the private sector can, from the beginning itself, talk with the government regulators, and from the initial stage to see what are the regulations that are there, without staying till the last moment. And also the government cannot do this alone. We need the industry, academia, the civil society, everyone to get together in order to make this a success. So I think the private sector should not think this as a barrier, what government is doing. We actually wanted to have the trust in citizens and give a good public service for the citizens. So I don't think there should be a mindset like that.
Okay, got it. Daminder, back to you. Now that you have heard that, the ministry is also thinking, then there is already, other sectors, like especially for you, you're already starting to think about AI and, from our conversations earlier as well, where is the first dollar? Because you said that you want to leverage AI, but have you already started thinking about where are you gonna, what are the use cases that you are already thinking from your, any thoughts on that, if you want to share with everyone?
So I think, like I said, I want to look at how this will help me to drive my growth,
right,
profitability, and in the long run, how is it going to support my business? So that's the fundamental question that I will always ask.
Yeah, that's everyone's question, right?
Yeah,
that's everyone's
then I look
question.
at, okay, where can I invest and which function, and how is it going to give that adequate return that I am expecting. So we've looked at multiple areas in the value chain. So we see a low-hanging fruit in sales and project management, sure, where you can look at automate your so much work and manage your project pipelines, manage your clients in a more efficient manner and quite straightforward, and help the sales function in a much better way, and it's quite easier to implement, right? So that is the first place, and I'm sure, we have done the assessment, the return will justify.
Right.
Then when it comes to manufacturing, like I said, I would like to look at, how could AI help to do predictive maintenance? We have a lot of data. If we get our data structures right, can data help us, AI help us to do those kind of maintenance aspects? And then when it comes to production scheduling, say for an example, aluminium industry, we have very complex operation. We deal with hundreds of dies and hundreds of extrusions, correct, every day, and your production schedules, and sometimes there are downtimes, certain dies doesn't work. So there's a lot of information we are getting every day, and how can AI help us to do that prediction in the production planning, scheduling side.
Sure.
And again, on the forecasting side also, we deal with multiple number of items. It could be 5,000, 10,000, and then how can it help the planners, the sales teams, the marketing teams to do the right forecasting.
Yeah.
That will help us to better procurement, better logistics, better our entire value chain. So that's where I see the bigger impact will come. When the moment AI gets into production, manufacturing in the right way, planning in the right way, it will give massive advantage, sure, over competition. So for me to look at investment, I'm not hesitant to look at that investment as long as we are very clear on the outcome.
Yeah.
Because the structures are such in the group as well. So you don't have to justify it in a big, you don't have to put a lot of effort to justify it even to the board.
No, absolutely.
Boards, right? So as long as the outcome is clear, the ROIs are clear, I don't think we see a barrier. And now that the government is also coming into place to support, correct, and set up all the regulatory aspects, it will also help. I think we need to move fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for putting it. So we have heard what the finance sector is thinking about, how manufacturing, about the government. So very, very quickly, we are on time. 30 seconds. If there was one takeaway for all the folks here, like what should they start thinking after the weekend? If they had to think one thing about, your takeaway, like this is what they should be taking back. We have heard that where you guys are putting your money, where your mouth is, but then again, as a takeaway for all our attendees here, maybe Anil will start with you. 30 seconds, maybe what is the takeaway that you would have for these guys?
I think it probably starts with the mindset of having AI integrated part of your organization, right? It is, as every speaker has called out, Biswa called out, you called out, AI is not a future, it is here now, right? So have those boardroom discussions, bring your leaders into one room, identify the problem that you want to solve for, because if that stage is clear, and the ROI is clear, as you rightly pointed out. As long as the business problem is identified, the ROI is identified, then I think skills, execution, building
Correct.
it
The process,
will
everything
automatically
will come.
follow. So
Yeah,
I think it
yeah.
has to start with the mindset of having AI being integrated in your organization.
No, thank you, Anil. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
that is why we have the leaders here who are thinking about those and that mind shift changes happening. Damita, maybe. What do you think? Like, what is the takeaway that you may have, if at all? for you?
I think, like I said, AI, it's a non-negotiable now in
Sure.
the business modern days.
Right.
So the building blocks now, if I were to look at my group and the way I want to look at it, now I used to have these 4 building blocks: processors, systems,
Right, right.
people, and then the outcome. So I want to put AI in the middle and integrate it into
Correct.
the framework, and then it will have to embed it into the DNA of the
Absolutely.
organization.
Jayanta?
I would say start small,
Right.
right away, start today. That's the message. I think it is there for you to use it. At the same time, across organizations, I think the quality of data is an important part of it. Everything will depend on the quality of data. We need to build data-driven culture, data-driven organizations.
Right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Janaki, again, like from the government, any final thoughts for the folks here?
So I think AI should not be taken as just a technology. It's a transformative initiative. So and the basic should be having secure data and giving a good lifestyle for the citizens and having a governance structure as well. So from the government perspective, I think AI should be taken as advantage on giving a good lifestyle for the citizens, not just research side, but practical implementation. That's all.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. So I think wonderfully put, we are moving from just an ambition to actually putting that in action.